The first time it happened, I thought it was just the wind. At exactly 2:17 a.m., the lock on my front door clicked and the door opened by itself. It didn't slam or creak, it simply eased open, like someone on the other side was carefully trying not to wake me. A slow, smooth swing that stopped halfway, leaving just enough space for cold air to crawl in. I remember staring at it from my couch, too scared to move. Then the light in the hallway, the one that's been dead since I moved in, flickered on. No one was there. I wanted to believe I was dreaming. But when I walked over and closed the door, the lock was warm, like someone had been touching it. That was 3 weeks ago. I'd just moved into the old duplex on Laurel Street, Denver. My landlord, Mrs. Green, was the kind of lady who'd seen too much to care about ghosts or rumors. "It's an old building," she said, shrugging. "Wood shifts, doors open. Don't lose sleep over it." So I didn't. Not at first. The next night it happened again. 2:17 a.m. The click, the slow creak, the light, the silence. I started waking up before it happened, like something inside me knew it was coming. I'd sit there waiting, pretending not to care, but when that sound came, my heart would drop into my stomach. By the fourth night, I put my phone on record. I wanted proof. The video showed the door swinging open on its own. I played it 100 times. No wind, no shadows, just movement. I told my neighbor Kyle about it. He laughed. "Old hinges," he said, "or the heat vents are pulling air out of the room." But when I invited him over the next night, he said he couldn't. He worked nights for the city. Anyway, he texted, "That house has a story." I didn't ask what he meant. I didn't want to know. That Saturday, I reinforced the door. New lock, extra chain, a wedge at the bottom. I felt stupid, but safer. That night, I waited again. At 2:16. 2:16, the house went quiet, too quiet. Even the fridge stopped humming. The clock ticked once, then click, the chain lifted. The wedge slid across the floor. The door opened wider this time, smooth as breath. I stood frozen, clutching my phone. Then a whisper came through the crack, soft and close. "Mark." My name. I stepped back. The hallway light flicked on that same dead bulb, glowing gold for the first time in weeks. No one stood there, but I could feel someone breathing. I slammed the door shut and pressed my ear to the wood, and that's when I heard it again, that quiet, steady voice from the other side. I didn't sleep at all that night. Every sound in the apartment made me jump: the hum of the heater, the groan of the floorboards, the ticking of the clock. When sunlight finally broke through the blinds, I thought I'd made it through the worst. But when I walked to the door, something new stopped me cold. The chain was undone. I knew I'd latched it. I remembered hearing it clink before I went to bed. Yet there it was, dangling loose. That's when I realized whatever was opening my door didn't care about locks. I spent the whole day researching mechanical reasons. Thermal contraction, negative air pressure, old frame movement. Everything online said the same thing: harmless physics. But if it was physics, why did it whisper my name? I bought a cheap security camera and pointed it at the door. That night, I sat on the couch, live stream open on my phone. My stomach was in knots, but I needed to know. 16 a.m. The house went still again. 70. The latch clicked. The door opened halfway. I froze, but what I saw on my phone made my skin crawl. The camera feed showed me standing up and walking toward the door, even though I hadn't moved. My real body sat still on the couch, holding the phone, trembling. But on the screen, my figure opened the door complete and stepped out into the hall. I dropped the phone and ran to the door. It was open, the hallway light flickering empty. No me, no one, just silence. I slammed it shut and called Kyle. "You said this building had a story," I whispered. He sighed. "Yeah, back in the 80s, this place caught fire. A firefighter named Thomas Hale died trying to save a tenant. Gas explosion. People say his spirit never left." I laughed, but it sounded fake. "You're kidding." "Wish I was," Kyle said. "He died right in that doorway." At 2:17 a.m., that number burned through me. The next morning, I found Mrs. Green at her office. "Was there really a fire here?" I asked. She looked tired. There was. I bought the property after it happened. You live in the original unit, his unit. She hesitated, then added softly, "You're not the first to complain about the door." She opened a folder and pulled out an old newspaper clipping. The headline, "Firefighter Dies in Late-Night Explosion." The timestamp under the photo read 2:17 a.m. That night, I decided to confront it. I left the door unlocked, camera ready. 17 came. The door opened by itself, smooth and silent, the air filled with the smell of smoke, faint but unmistakable. Then I saw him. A shape stood in the doorway, glowing orange like embers under ash. His helmet was melted, his coat scorched. I couldn't see his face, only the outline of a man still burning in another time. He looked straight at me and whispered, "Get out." Before I could react, the lights cut off, the air turned ice cold, and my phone screen flashed 3 words in white static. "See you tomorrow." When I opened my eyes the next morning, I was still on the couch. The door was shut tight. No scorch marks, no smell of smoke. For a moment, I thought maybe I'd dreamed the whole thing until I saw the black fingerprint smudged near the handle. It looked like ash, and when I touched it, it was still warm. That's when I decided I was done. I packed my things that afternoon, stuffed clothes into boxes, loaded what I could into my car. I wasn't waiting around for 2:17 ever again. But when I grabbed my keys from the counter, I noticed something strange. My phone screen, which I hadn't touched since the night before, was lit up. The camera app was open. It was already recording, and it was pointed straight at the door. I hadn't started it. I hadn't even turned the phone on. Then I realized the timer on the recording was at 2:17:03, the same time. Every night. I stared at it for a long time, heart racing, before deleting the file and unplugging the phone. I couldn't shake the feeling that something wanted me to see it, to keep watching, to stay. By midnight, the boxes were ready, but the air in the apartment felt different, heavy, like breathing underwater. The light from the street outside looked darker than usual, tinted orange. I told myself I'd wait until morning to leave. I'd feel stupid running out of my own place in the middle of the night. But deep down, I think I already knew the truth. It wasn't going to let me go that easily. At 2:16, the refrigerator hum stopped again. The clock on the stove flicked to 2:17, and the lock on the door gave a soft, metallic click. This time, I didn't move. The door opened, slower than ever before, the air rippling with heat, faint orange light bleeding in through the gap. I saw his shadow before I saw him. The fireman Thomas Hale standing there in full gear, his figure glowing faintly through thick smoke that wasn't really the... I wanted to run, but my body wouldn't listen. He stepped inside, one slow foot at a time, until he was standing right in front of me. His voice came through the haze, broken and heavy. "You weren't supposed to stay." "I'm leaving," I whispered. "I swear I'm leaving." He raised a hand, the same charred hand that had left the print on the door, and pointed behind me. I turned slowly. On the wall above the couch, burned into the paint, were the words, "Let it open." And then everything began to burn. Flames raced up the walls, but I couldn't feel heat, only cold. I looked back at the door, and through the fire, I saw him, standing in the same spot as before, the same position from the old newspaper photo. The fire didn't hurt him. It just surrounded him, swallowing the room in orange and blue light. The world snapped, and suddenly I was standing in the apartment again. No flames, no smoke, just the faint smell of burned wood and silence. The door was closed, except now there were 2 locks on it, one new, one rusted and old. And from the other side, 3 slow knocks. Knock, 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 2:17 a.m. If you thought this story was chilling, just wait till the next one. Hit subscribe, drop a like, And remember, if your door ever opens on its own, don't be there to see what's waiting on the other side.